people of the World Wide Web. So it is Cypher Sigma here. It is the weekend and it is movie review time. So I've managed to do two. I did two back to back this week. So expect one on tomorrow as well. But this one, as the title would say, is Heretic. So this is the new movie from the director combo, so to speak, of Scott Beck and Dylan Woods. They previously, the only thing I kind of known from is 65, so the Adam Driver dinosaur one. And this is their new outing. Anybody who doesn't know, this is an hour and 50 minutes long, and it is essentially about two Mormons. So you have Sophie Thatcher as Sister Barnes and Chloe East as Sister Paxton. They are doing their rounds, basically visiting a list of people that put their name down and want to be considered to join their church. They get to Mr. Reed's house, which is played by Hugh Grant. He invites them in, and then it kind of spirals into a weird kind of trap-esque that you see, and it's how will they get out and stuff like this. There is nothing, as far as I'm aware, after the scenes. There is a few little bits over the credits, but I didn't bother staying for that. And it wasn't too bad of a movie. Spoiler warning goes up, and we shall get into the movie itself. So as I said, so you start off with these two girls. They're sitting on a park bench, the two sisters, and they're talking about a porno movie that they've watched and just the effects it had on. And it's kind of trying to ground them into the world of, obviously, these two sisters. Like, they go and do trying to introduce people into their religion. I mean, it doesn't work until they get to the final house on their stop when the storm's starting to come down. They lock their bikes up, they go in, and they're met by Hugh Grant's character, Mr. Reed. He invites them in on a promise that his wife is there because they're not allowed to enter. They go in, give him his coats, and then he's kind of coming back and forth. And obviously, as this conversation starts to evolve, they start to know that he knows a lot more about religion than possibly they do. And he's kind of pulls out this book and he starts asking them a bit of funny questions or something like this, starting to make them a tiddly bit uncomfortable. And as he's going in and out, and he says, like, my wife's a little bit shy, and okay, and then it kind of culminates that my wife will meet you, she's in the other room. The two girls are a bit shocked at the kind of conversations that has gone on and go to leave. As they try the front door, they can't open the front door. It seems to be locked. It's not got a lock on it. So as I mentioned, they realise the front door is locked, and obviously their key is in their coat in another room where potentially Mr. Reed's wife is going to be. It's very dark because the power keeps tripping out over a period of time, so the girls very slowly walk into this other room. This is the other room that you see in the trailer that's built like a church. This is where you still don't meet his wife, but the girls kind of insist that they want to leave. And Hugh Grant's like, you don't have to make it, because they're saying they had a phone call and stuff like that. And Hugh Grant's like, that isn't possible, blah, blah. But, the front door's on a timer. Sorry, I should have said that, but you can leave out the back. And it's kind of, they just want to leave. They're put in a scary situation. But during all of this, Hugh Grant, Mr. Reed's character, goes into a kind of full explanation. I mean, it's all about religion and how each religion predates other ones, and that there's loads of people that were around before Jesus Christ, and he uses this emphasis on board games and the game Monopoly and a few other bits, and it is very cleverly done, and it is very interesting for that one. This movie is very much, I feel by the end of it, became more interesting of how stuff was dictated and stuff like this. So as it says, and he kind of explains all this and says that, if you want my help, you can. And he writes belief or disbelief over the doors. And essentially, if you go down one, you believe, and they have to make a decision. They make a decision, and then this takes them down into another room. And this is where then Hugh Grant, it does get a bit darker, and Hugh Grant says, like, there's a Messiah down there. This is the proper original, like, God or deity, or the first ever one that you need to know. And there's this old woman in the pie comes out, and he says, like, he's poisoned the pie, she'll eat it, she'll die, but then she'll be reborn, and then for them to believe it. While they're doing this, there is a ring at the doorbell, so it's their pastor, so he goes out of the room. The girls try to escape, they don't. They get, obviously, this woman who's eating the pie is now dead. He kind of wards off the reverend or whatever there is, and then as he comes back into the house, the two girls trying to get a few matches, trying to start a fire, but it just doesn't seem to work. Hugh Grant comes in and says, he comes in, the woman revives, comes back to life. They're trying to light this fire, scares them to death, and he wards them off and says, look, oh, well done. And they were like, oh, it's that is it, that is the miracle you should believe in, stuff like that, which I think the girls are more panicked, and they're in this like kind of cellar and they're trying to work. As the two girls in between this, one of them managed to pick up a blade thing, and it's like the innocent one, she says like, you need to stab him with his code word, and as the other one's kind of setting up the conversation, she goes get Hugh Grant, slits her throat, and she dies on the floor. And the other one panicked, tries to get away, and then kind of realizes something her sister said during it, that basically you have to counteract what he's saying. So there's a big conversation, and she's going, this is what here, and he's like, well, you have to believe, this person's been wrecked. And then as she analyzes it and counteracts what he's been saying, she realizes there's a trapdoor, and that obviously this is all a ruse, and the first person who died is actually dead down here, and this was another person. And then as she descends to another level, there is then all these old women in cages that are basically being manhandled by Hugh Grant's character. And essentially this is where he goes, look, the original kind of Lord Saviour is actually control. So it's the fact that he is controlled over these people, controls over anybody that comes into his house and all this stuff. And it's a maze, and it's meant to not necessarily test your faith, but sent there. The girl kind of starts to lull him in, then stabs him in the throat with it, which is quite gruesome. She runs off, is stuck in the house, still cannot get out. She then goes back down into the kind of cellary bit where she was, because the house kind of loops around itself with all these little passages and that. And this is where Hugh Grant gets her and basically has a pin to the ground, is just about to kill her, and just as he's about to kill her and she's purring, a plank of wood that came off earlier when the two girls first went down in there is swung, hits Hugh Grant in the head and kills him outright. This is the other girl who had her neck slit, magically come back to life for like 20 seconds to save her friend, and then she dies. Her friend goes back up, manages to find a way out, gets out of the house, and as she gets out of the house she sees a butterfly come on, and this is a reference to something that was said earlier in the movie, and then flashes back, and that's it. The end. So I'm going to rate this movie 6 out of 10. It isn't the kind of typical horror that you expect. It was very interesting. The subject matter was very, very good. The whole religion and how it comes from and how other stuff is diluted over time and all this stuff was very, very good. Hugh Grant, I think, played the role very, very well. He was very kind of kind but sinister and switched between those. I really like the two sisters. Played by Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East. They played the roles really, really well. As I say, it's a very minute cast within this. I say things like 10 people that are in the whole film throughout all of it. There are a few things that didn't, it was, the story would not have happened if everything kind of didn't fall into place. So obviously when he takes their coats, within their coat is a key to their bikes. Hugh Grant, as he goes to get a drink in the very beginning, runs out and uncouples their bikes and hides them and reuses this lock. Now, the story wouldn't work if that lock wasn't there, and a lot of other stuff. So that there's already that side of things, and a few other things I just don't quite click into. I mean, he's kidnapped all these women. I think there's like 4 women in a cage and one is dead. So I'm just like, well, surely somebody started to con on. You don't really get a grasp of time. I think there are girls' pictures, so it's within the last 10 years or so. But I say, I kind of expected a more bit of a darker turn, and it was the kind of him kind of all religious, not religious, it comes from there, and then just him being a very control kind of freak, and that's all controlling people. I think maybe the story could have been tweaked a little bit and changed a little bit to incorporate that, as I say, not just to have the house a bit more of a maze, and to have it, because it kind of feels a little bit like a Saw movie, so to speak, and it's trying to setting you up. And I understand that, if it's doubting their belief and stuff because of this, then it would make more sense. I said, but it was an enjoyable movie for the main sake of it. I really enjoyed it. That has been my review of the movie Heretic. Have you seen the movie? What did you think and feel? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time, and I shall see you in the next one.